All right. So the next presenter is going to be Craig from Blitz Media, and I had had a chance to talk to Craig and Scott, the two owners of Blitz Media. They've got this really cool system where they're able to really help agencies recruit more DSPs. So it's kind of tech, but I felt that this is going to be beneficial enough to show everybody. So Craig, I'll turn it over to you. I think you might be on mute. Yep, there you go.
I'm off mute. Yeah, and Scott's co-presenting. So here I'm going to, okay with you, I'm going to share a screen.
And yeah, if you guys going to have questions again for Craig or Scott, throw them in the chat box.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Dustin, for having us here. Really appreciate the opportunity. So we want to chat with you briefly about creating a DSP magnet, to attract and retain more great direct support professionals. And we believe that there's some free technology and low-cost technology that can really help you with increasing retention and improving the culture for your staff.
Did it change, Scott?
It did not change.
All right, let's try this again here.
There we go. All right, so our quick info, he's Craig, I'm Scott. If any of you want to reach out to us and contact us, emailing info@Blitz Media Design will come to both of us. One of us will respond, or you can pick up the phone and call. And again, one of us will answer. It's the two of us. So quick background on us, just as housekeeping, then we'll get on to the meat.
Is it changing, Scott?
No, sorry, Dustin and everyone. Some tech challenges today.
All right, hold on a second. Let's,
That happens. It happens.
And this is part of the reason why we're in two different locations today, in case we have to audible here.
The joy of technology, right?
Tell you what, I'm just going to, I'll do it from this side, Scott.
All right. There we go. Okay. So a little bit of background on our experience and how we've helped providers. One provider, we helped increase the number of online direct support professional applicants by over 300% and at a lower cost. Recently, in working with a new provider in Pennsylvania, we helped them avoid wasting somewhere between $60,000 and $100,000 on a retention and rewards company that would not fix the root issue because it wasn't a technology problem. It's in fact a people problem. So no matter how much money they threw at it, it wouldn't fix the real problem. We've spoken at the Opera conference just 2 weeks ago. We're about to speak at the OHCA conference on April 30th, and we've got speaking engagements coming up with a number of other state provider associations. Just a month ago, Anchor published our article on applicant-centered recruiting. Real quick summary, what we're advocating for is, obviously you have a people-centered philosophy to those that you serve. Just extend that people-first philosophy to the people that you're recruiting and your employees once they're hired. And we are a father and son business partner team, and we've got a personal connection to the developmental disabilities community. So real quickly, won't go in depth on this because I'm guessing most of you are all too familiar with what we call the DSP hamster wheel. It's this vicious cycle of recruiting direct support professionals, hiring people, hoping they work out. All too many of them don't work out, and you have the staff turnover, and around it goes. So what we're encouraging people to do is create what we call a DSP magnet. And that's built around 3 pillars. Recruiting is obviously critical and first because you have open jobs. You need to recruit people to fill those. Second pillar is retention. And I want to be very clear about this because I hear retention thrown around in different contexts, and I think different people mean different things by it. When we talk about retention, we talk about what keeps a person from the moment they are hired up through 6 months of working with your organization. Obviously, you want to keep them longer than 6 months, and you have people that have been there longer than that. But beyond that 6-month time frame, that gets into what we categorize as culture, the third pillar. And culture has characteristics of both retention, because it keeps people there for 5, 10, 15, even 30 years in some cases. But it also helps with recruiting because word gets out about what an amazing place you are to work at. And even former employees are completely happy to sing your praises, and it brings other people into your organization. So the DSP Magnet, when you really get recruiting, retention, and culture dialed in and working for you, that's what's going to attract and retain staff like a magnet for you.
So let's talk about that from day one into that first 6 months. When do you check in with new staff? And if any of you want to throw in numbers in chat, please feel free. We asked this question at the Opera conference a couple weeks ago. And for a show of hands, we had as late as 180 days to check in with a new hire. One provider told us, oh, we check in after 60 days just to cover their paperwork and find out and tell them if they're doing it right or wrong, which, that doesn't exactly make you feel warm and fuzzy. So if you consider this, if you're a new hire, or if you think back to your first day on the job, when do you think people start feeling overwhelmed? I submit that very likely they start feeling overwhelmed on day one.
Real quick aside here, at the Opera conference, there was no consensus on when people started retention, but everyone in unison said, yeah, staff are overwhelmed on day one. So we've got this big chasm to cross. And part of that overwhelm is, these questions. Where do I go? Will the people be nice? What if it doesn't work out? Where do I park? Where do I eat? Where's the bathroom? Did I make a huge mistake? What if I accidentally hurt someone? When you leave all of these questions unanswered, our survival instincts kick in and our mind goes to sort of the worst possible outcome. It becomes, primal instinct, the unknown, potential danger. So if you leave these questions unanswered, it creates fear, very often an unreasonable fear. The other challenge you face with DSPs is isolation. You're spread out over numerous facilities. You have DSPs working third shift where they might be the only one or they're just working with one other person. It's not like an office environment where everyone can gather around the water cooler in the break room and chat and share stories and support one another. So what we're talking about is creating an experience. And by experience, I'm not talking about work experience. I'm talking about what does that new hire think, feel, and do? What do they experience on onboarding, training, and as they start the job? Now, you're already in a position that you're experts at communication and empathy for the people you care for. So what we're advocating is let's improve the communication, empathy, and deliver a great experience to the people you hire. So to give them that great experience, we can leverage some great technology that's out there right now. If you're not familiar with it, Loom is a very simple and free video messaging platform online. They do now have a paid option, but we've been using it a lot extensively, and we've just been using the free option, and it's been fantastic. Let's give you a quick overview of Loom and how you can use it and why you should use it. So when a new employee comes on, obviously you want them to feel great. You don't want all those questions and worries and concerns buzzing through their brain, and you can help set them at ease with a quick personal video. It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be intimidating. So what if you had your CEO or executive director share just a 30-second or 1-minute Loom video by email or text message with a new employee, just introducing themselves, saying, hi, I'm Scott. I'm so excited that you're a part of our team, and maybe share a personal backstory on how they got into this field and ended up passionate about this work. And they can also put them at ease around, here's what's going to happen today. I'm excited to meet you. And this can work really well with building that connection, because DSPs, thrive on human connection and interaction. And in fact, we've interviewed over 36 DSPs in the past year and a half. And when we asked them, if you could ask management for one thing, what would you ask for? Everyone expects it's money, And we have not heard that from a single person. We've had a couple people joke, yeah, $1 million would be nice, but here's what I really want. And most of the time, what it boils down to is your DSPs want that human connection and interaction. And oftentimes they feel very disconnected from management. We've heard many times, I wish management would just come down here and work with me for a day or even just half a day to see how it really is. So if your CEO, executive director can, kind of step out of that intimidating title for new staff members and introduce themselves by video, because obviously they've got a lot going on. They can't always be in orientation. It puts a voice, a face, some personality with that person so they feel more comfortable with them.
All right, I mentioned isolation and the fact that there was no water cooler to gather around. So one easy way to handle this is through Facebook private groups. Now, we've had providers tell us, well, we have an employee intranet, or we give all employees an organization email. But they also tell us that maybe only 30% of the employees ever use the intranet. A lot more than 30% of people are already using Facebook. Facebook private groups are free, and it's something they already know how to use. So if you establish a Facebook private group, you can help overcome the isolation that is going to happen from people working in separate facilities. It can become a depository of idea exchanges. People can talk about things that they've accomplished or ways they've helped a consumer accomplish a certain task. You help them foster culture. They can share ideas for one another. Maybe it's something as simple as, hey, I had my car broke down and this serviceman for the service shop gave me a great price. They're really helpful. Anything you can do to sort of foster that culture. Now, the URL here is not for Facebook. The Facebook link is so long, it wouldn't fit here. So I just made this little shortcut, and I presume Dustin will make this presentation available later if you want, or you can, we'll be happy to send it to you. But this tells you how to set it up. You can set it up so that there are multiple administrators, and if you're worried about perhaps an employee posting something they shouldn't or running afoul of HIPAA or something like that, you can set it so it's moderated so no one can post unless you okay it. That's sort of up to you.
And we're part of a couple of the providers that we work with. They're private employee-only Facebook groups. We're just there as flies on the wall, and we've seen some really incredible stuff posted there. People sharing how much they love their job. People, unfortunately, I remember there was one DSP that unfortunately had to move away. Her spouse was moving out of state for a job, and she was going with him, obviously. And she was tremendously sad to leave, and it gave people an opportunity who, work in a different location from her, but know her to chime in on Facebook, comment, and share memories. We've seen some people post like, here are photos of what we got growing in the garden right now. We've got, so many green peppers. Does anyone want some? And just other fun things going on, and some inspirational videos as well. So, yeah,
we even have one client where the vice president, she does monthly videos and usually is wearing some sort of costume that's appropriate. Like obviously for April, she did a video on this for her team and she's wearing bunny ears. So people really look forward to that. It sort of humanizes the whole organization, makes everybody feel included. You don't have to wait for that annual picnic or dinner or a holiday gathering.
Another great tool, obviously one that we're on, in fact, right now, Zoom video conferencing. If this is your first experience with it, and I'm guessing it's probably not for most of you, it's incredibly simple to use. Candidly, we've had a few clients that we were afraid, are they going to be able to use this because they're tech challenged, and each and every time it's worked out really well. So again, you've got the challenge of multiple locations, multiple shifts. Trying to get people together is really hard. So Zoom video conferencing can make that very easy for you. Obviously, you can join from anywhere, desktop, mobile devices. Gives you the ability to record, share your screen as we're doing right now. You can even mark up on the screen if you've never done that before. to make it really clear what you're talking about and review material with people. And you can schedule meetings from email and calendar applications. You know, why we love Zoom is it's so simple, but it really develops that human connection. We were first introduced to Zoom video conferencing 3 years ago because Craig and I are part of a worldwide group of marketers. And I mean, we have friends in Ireland now, Australia, all over the place. And for months and even multiple years in some cases, we never actually met a person, you know, face to face in person, but we met over Zoom, and it really developed the relationship in a way that, you know, just talking on phone or emails obviously doesn't. And then when we meet in person for the once a year for the annual conference, it's like you already know that person. So it can really help, again, establish those connections with people. So what if instead of doing conference calls on the phone with people, instead you did a Zoom meeting, had people join from their smartphones and other devices to just bring people together quickly. And the thing to point out here is there is a free level. I believe it limits you to a 40-minute video conference. If you pay a little bit, you get unlimited time. And there is a discount if you are a nonprofit. I don't believe that they advertise that very well on their website, but a provider that we work with did talk to them, and they did get a nice discount on Zoom.
Hey, Scott, one of the questions that just came in was, and I don't know if you guys had experience with GoToWebinar or GoToMeeting. Why do you guys prefer Zoom over GoToWebinar?
Yeah, and I mean, for any of these tools, obviously, Dustin, there are good alternatives out there. Personally, we prefer Zoom just because of the ease of use. I swear, I do use GoToMeeting for some clients that use that. And I swear every time I do that, it like prompts me before the meeting to update and forces me to do a couple of things. And we've had issues in the past with sound quality on GoToMeeting. So it's just, Zoom has been incredibly simple. Like I said, for people that we were worried, you know, tech challenged, a little intimidated by it, and they've been able to set it up easily. And the nice thing is too with Zoom, you don't have to have a web camera. You don't even have to have a computer microphone. It gives you the phone call number where you can dial in. And obviously others have that too. But we've been using it for over 3 years now, and only one time has Zoom had a massive outage, and it was just like a month or two ago. So it's been incredibly reliable.
Yeah, I chose Zoom for all of those reasons as well, having been a GoToWebinar user in the past.
Yeah, we've had lots of problems with GoToWebinar when people do it and can't hear people, they fade out, or then they've had to dial in. We were having a meeting with one of our clients, and one of the participants was on vacation. So while her husband was driving to the Carolinas, she was participating in the meeting from her iPhone. So it even held up when she went through a tunnel, which was very surprising.
Yeah. So replacing what we in the past, you know, just use simple phone conferences with video conferences has really built relationships and grown them faster and just built stronger connections with people. So that's why, you know, we recommend using Zoom or some other video conferencing platform to help those relationships and get people collaborating.
Okay, so hopefully this makes sense, but we often hear from providers, okay, yeah, fine, but you know, I just don't have the time to try new tools or things like that. It's sort of like retention is probably your biggest problem. So how can you say I don't have enough time to deal with the biggest problem? You know, we all have 24 hours in a day. So what would you need to do to help make this possible? The other objection we often hear is like, okay, well, some people use this, but we have others who don't. Dealing with our organization, making changes, it's like herding cats. Well, we know you can't herd cats, but you can move the cat food. What I mean by that is it's not a case where you tell everybody you need to do something, because your staff already has a whole list of obligations that they have to address. So instead of phrasing this as you need to do something, paint a picture of what's possible. Can you imagine how great it would be if our new hires worked out. We could reduce the turnover. We had a situation here where supervisors and trainers could go back to doing what they do best instead of having to fill in for direct care shifts. What it would be like if we could break that DSP hamster wheel, and now all the money we're spending on recruiting and training and then repeating the process, what if that money could be put within our organization to help us with other things? So that's the possibility, and that's the way you get people to follow. So we talked a little bit about first week overwhelm and isolation. We've mentioned using employee-centered onboarding and training. We've talked about some tools to use for communication, and I've just touched on the not enough time and herding cats, but I want to make it clear, no tool is going to solve your issues with retention. What you need to do is, regardless of the tool you used, you've got to create a great experience for them, starting with day one, that will hopefully keep them part of your team for not only the first 6 months, but years or even decades beyond.
So obviously you've had a lot of information thrown at you today. We know you're going back to reality. You've been nice enough to join us for this time, but there are emails coming in, phone calls, issues to be dealt with. Probably for some of you, unfortunately, new issues that have popped up while you've been here, information overload. And there's something from today that you want to take action on, but you don't have time to do it today and hoping to get back to it soon. But what made sense right now, oftentimes when you come back to it, we've attended great webinars and conferences, and suddenly when you revisit it, it's like, well, it made sense, but I'm not quite sure how to implement that for ourselves, or where do I start? How do I even get started? What's first? So Craig and I want to share a simple outline of what to do first and a resource to just go and get it done. But rather than just email you a PDF worksheet and hope that it doesn't get buried under 100 other emails in your inbox, hope that you don't have an emergency come up and you have the time to work on it, and hope that you can make sense of it, we just want to offer you free help in an interactive session with us to get it done. And in fact, we did 3 of these yesterday. I did 2 sessions with 2 providers and a session with the County Board of DD to help them take the first steps to give new employees, or in the case of the County Board, new applicants, a great experience from that very first moment by looking at simple opportunities to make an impact and make each experience better for that person. And all the things that we talked about yesterday, none of them were earth-shattering or hugely intimidating, or like, oh my gosh, I don't know how we're going to do that, or I don't have the time for that, or I have to get 5 other people on board with it. Everyone was excited about, oh yeah, I can just go do that right now, or I can do that tomorrow. So here's what this looks like. We want to hop on a first day jumpstart session video conference with you. We'll meet by Zoom. So we use that tool all the time. So we can interact with you, share our screen, and we're going to put the person, the new employee, at the center and look at how we can improve their experience from their very first day working with you, to take those not so great experiences, because unfortunately there are plenty of things that you have to do, and rightfully so, but how can we improve those experiences, make them a little bit better, and how can we take the neutral experiences and make them a pleasant, enjoyable experience for that person? So we're going to map this out, that employee's experience, and share our screen. You don't have to take any notes. We'll type on screen, and then after the session, Craig or I will email you that PDF as well as a 2-minute Loom video summary. We use that tool as well, so that we know you've got other people on your team that you want to get on board, maybe couldn't join. You can just share that 2-minute video with them to get them up to speed. So for that, you'll want to visit dspmagnet.com/tech. All you have to do to take advantage of this is just, you'll see our calendar there. You pick the day and time that works well for you, enter your name, email, and phone, and we'll take care of the rest for you. And we'll send you the Zoom link and everything you need to know. It's really easy to get set up. So we want to help you take action, impacting those new employees from the very first day, and talk about how you can take advantage of some of these free technology resources and use them to establish those connections and keep those new employees.
Hey, Scott, can you, when we had talked,
Yeah.
Craig, I'm not sure which one of you it was, we were talking a few weeks ago, and you were kind of describing a process that you guys, how you can also help agencies with writing employment ads in a little bit more effective way that increases the number of applicants that they were able to get. Can you, that is another service that you guys kind of
Yes.
help agencies with, right? What's that look like?
So I'll talk about that. What that looks like is, obviously, when we ask providers about, what's working well for you as far as recruiting, the two most common things we hear are Indeed and employee referrals. The challenge with Indeed is that 99% of job posts that we see are unfortunately the polar opposite of great DSPs. The job posts are cold and impersonal, and they're trying to attract somebody who's warm, caring, kind, energetic, and those two things just don't line up. And I mean, it's not your fault. I get it. Job posts, it's not terribly appealing to write one. It's been in existence for years, and you just kind of update a bullet point here and there over time from something that very well may have just been handed down to you. And even to be candid, neither Craig nor I like the recommended template that Indeed has for a direct support professional job post. So with that, we help providers look at how can we put the applicant at the center of this and communicate to them to speak to the people that want to do this work and motivate that person to click on the Apply Now button on Indeed.
Yeah, just for an outcome, we provided this audit for a provider who had heard us speak about recruitment, and just with the basis of a 45-minute conversation and pointing out some things they had missed on the application where they could rearrange it, they posted the new application on a Friday afternoon. By morning, they had 173 new applications, which was far beyond what they would normally expect in a 48-hour period. Or actually less than 48, yes.
Wow. Wow.
So again, a big part of everything we do is talking about reapplying what you do right now in helping people with developmental disabilities and extending that person-centered care to everyone you deal with. I know it gets hard, a lot of things about the job that are challenging, and people worry about the money and things like that, but we can't control that, but you can control the experience. So again, regardless of the tools you use to do this, if you're always providing a consistent experience and keeping that potential employee at the center of your universe, it's going to have a big difference.
Now, starting as a DSP in this field, I completely remember that, I didn't even know what I was getting into. When I saw the employment ad, I just didn't even know. But the office was right across the street, and I kind of went over there and eventually figured out what was going on. And I did feel, as you guys started off talking, I did feel somewhat isolated. I worked in two different homes. One was, like a licensed facility, and one was a waiver setting in the community. And it was trying to navigate the difference between those. Had two different supervisors, didn't really know where to go. And so I can see how that engagement would be super critical. So.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked to some providers. Obviously, every situation is different, and retention is a challenge. But talking with someone recently, they said that new DSPs sometimes they're not meeting their direct supervisor, the first day, maybe even first week, and in some cases the first month or so because of when and where they work. I mean, think about that from the new employee's perspective. What type of anxiety do you have if, oh my gosh, I still haven't met my boss. I've been here 3 weeks. Is this person going to be nice? Like, how am I going to work with them? It just creates so much tension. And I get it. It's, maybe the supervisor lived far away, or it's, that person is working third shift. Hop on a Zoom call or FaceTime with them and introduce yourself. It takes 5 minutes, but can really put people at ease. And again, we're just advocating think person-centered and use the great tools you already have, the assets of you communicate every day with people who are nonverbal or have communication challenges. Just adapt your communication to the employee. Because all too often I hear people, some of our new employees, all they want to do is text. And I'm like, so we're resisting adapting to how people communicate? What's wrong there? And then just apply that empathy that you do for the people you serve and care for to the staff.
Look at what Jonathan presented. He's adapting his communication device to the specific needs. It's configurable. You can change the options on it, how people are referred to. So, again, even in his case, technology is a key component, but he's helping create a great experience, something that's really useful to people and easy to use.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Any questions for Scott or Craig? Go ahead and throw them in the chat. So I really appreciate you guys jumping on and doing this. I feel that one of the reasons that a lot of the people are looking at tech solutions right now is, one, to increase the independence of the people served, obviously, first and foremost, but people are struggling to find staff. And I just felt like your solution and your approach is different than anything I'd ever heard. So I wanted to kind of get that out there and let people know what you guys were doing, because I think, there's not going to be one magic bullet that solves these issues. It's going to have to be, taking all of the tools that are available to help address the workforce issues that everybody's facing. So thank you guys. I appreciate it. I did send a link to that dspmagnet.com/tech. So if anybody's on here wants to take advantage of, that free 45-minute consultation, go there. I've talked with these guys before. I think what they're doing is great. And if you were watching this on YouTube or a recorded version somewhere, that link may not be active anymore. But you can also go to Blitz Media.
BlitzMediaDesign.com. Actually, DSPMagnet.com will take you there too. So
DSPMagnet.com. So, all right. Well, thank you guys. I'm not seeing any other questions pop in. Thank you, Scott, Craig, and Jonathan, and everybody that joined today. Go to disabilitycocoon.com. I've got some more cool stuff coming up. And thanks again, everyone.
Thanks, Dustin. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Have a good day. Bye.